Hello and welcome to the How to Gain Free Publicity During COVID-19 webinar. It's fantastic that you are joining us today. I have done a few of these webinars in the past, although not for a few months now. I've actually been just so busy lately serving clients. It's been amazing since COVID for me. I know a lot of people have been stressing at this time, but I'd like to remind you that more successful people than ever come out of times of depression. And there's actually massive opportunity now during COVID to actually pivot and do things amazingly with your business, with your message, your product, your service right now. So I think it's perfect you're here and watching this. And I'm a big stand for truth and more good news in the media. So for me, when COVID started, I just had this gut feeling that something wasn't right and that I needed to help more people share their message and share their product and service and help share more good news and more truth in the world. So that's what I'm a stand for. My name is Aldwyn Altuney. If you haven't met me, I'm known as the Media Queen, and I am very passionate about helping people share their message, product or service with the masses. And we do that with online and offline media. And today we're going to talk about how to get free publicity. So whether it's offline or online, the whole world of media has merged a lot over the last 15 years or so since social media came about. So we are in changing times when it comes to the media world. And I'll cover a few key strategies today that I've learned from my 36 years media experience. Just imagine now what would happen to you or your business if you were interviewed on Sunrise or on a morning show, wherever you are in the world, tomorrow. Imagine if you're interviewed on a morning show on TV. What do you think would happen? And feel free to pop into the chat. What do you think would happen if you're interviewed on Sunrise or a morning show tomorrow? Or what if the Courier Mail or Sydney Morning Herald did an article about you, a major newspaper? Wherever you are, what if a major newspaper did an article about you? What would happen to you or your business, do you think? And what if Oprah's office called you and asked if you would be available for a show? What would happen? Well, what happened with Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, on the 27th of April 2000, when he appeared on the Oprah show, Oprah turned to him at the end of the 1 hour interview and said, "Congratulations, Rich Dad, we've just sold you 1 million books." Now, at the time, Robert Kiyosaki was making $5 per book. So he just made $5 million at the end of a 1 hour show. Now, interestingly, his book actually came out in 1997, 3 years prior to that. Yet it was 3 years later when he had the media hit that things just went exponential for him and his business. And now, of course, he's ultra successful, multi-millionaire, huge. The Rich Dad, Poor Dad series now is massive. So that can happen. You know, this can happen. I mean, obviously that's Oprah. That's a massive media outlet. However, any media you go to nowadays, you are reaching not just hundreds of thousands of people. Generally, you're reaching millions of people because you've also got the social media fans and community of these media outlets, as well as their website that they often put the stories on as well. So you've got now cross collateral happening right across the online and offline media world when you get media coverage. And this is all possible for you. Now, if you think about your industry right now and think about who is known as the expert in your industry right now and who is appearing in the media all the time on your topic. So for example, if I think of personal development, I think of Anthony Robbins. I think of health, I think of Michelle Bridges. I think of finance, I think of Noel Whittaker. Right now, why are they out there and not you? Because they started out getting a lot of media coverage and they went from being the world's best kept secret to now being a star because they leveraged the power of the media and they built that credibility and authority that comes with the media. But the good news is for you is that media outlets often have several experts on their books or in their contacts at any one time, because if they can't reach the Anthony Robbins and Michelle Bridges of the world, they will look for the next person on their list or the next person. And with local media, in fact, they look for local experts. So there's a great opportunity out there to get publicity and to really leverage the power of this media outlet. And particularly now when there's so much noise in social media and online, if you get publicity now, it really helps you stand out and build the trust factor. Of course, with online scams happening as well, you know, the trust factor for a lot of people has gone down. So to improve your chances of you know, increasing your credibility and trust and authority, then having publicity will absolutely help you stand out, as opposed to those in your industry who don't have publicity. We are in unprecedented times, of course, since March this year. Of course, COVID came about, and it's been coming and going in waves. We've been seeing a whole lot of commotion happening across the world with COVID, and certainly things have changed a lot. And one thing has changed is content consumption. It's actually up 60% during COVID, and I would say it's just increasing all the time. And a lot more spending is now happening online as well. So people are reaching out and connecting online, just as we are here today. So that's an Adweek stat there. Of course, alcohol consumption has also gone up during this time. You know, it's interesting now that, you know, you need to really be able to pivot and do things differently in business now to blend in with the new times, to be able to adapt. Because if you don't adapt, you're going to stay behind. You know, they say you're green and growing, or you're ripe and rotting. So what are you in business? And I think the fact that you're here today shows that you are green and growing, because you're obviously open to learning something new and to taking things to another level for yourself. And I acknowledge you for that today. Now, active social
We've got no volume, sweetheart. We've lost you.
Oh, okay. You can hear me now? Okay, great. All right, where were we up to? What did I last say? What was I up to? If someone can just unmute, let me know. Had I told you about this slide here, or did you lose me on the last slide? No? Did you lose me on this one? Did you hear me talk about this? You did. Okay, great. All right, so just here. Okay, thank you for that, Leonie. Thank you. All right. So what I was saying is that 3.8 billion of the world's population now, that's nearly half the world's population, is actually are active social media users, so which is massive. So what's happening now is journalists are looking to social media every single day for story ideas. Okay, so what you do on your social media now is actually really, really crucial as far as building your credibility as well, because journalists are going to be Googling you if they want to do a story on you. And what are they going to find when they Google you? What are they going to find on your social media? What are they going to find on your website? They will be Googling you. So you really need to look at having a consistent brand, a consistent message right across the board, and looking at how you can get out as much as possible and share your message. So this is actually very exciting. There's a lot of opportunity here also in the social media world to attract journalists' attention. Now, just a little bit of background on me. I've had 36 years media experience, as I shared. Now, I know I don't look a day over 25. Thank you very much. I actually am 46, believe it or not. And I was first interviewed by the media at age 10 for table tennis. So I was a junior top table tennis player in Sydney. And I remember seeing the photographer from the Manly Daily up on a ladder taking a photo of me with our table tennis table, which we had in the garage in the Northern Beaches area at the time. I remember looking up at him thinking, I would love to do something like that one day. And interestingly, I had this fascination for the media from then. I was on Channel 7 at age 11 on Cartoon Connection. And I had my first TV presentation training at age 11 too. And I remember being in the studio in Sydney. and on Cartoon Connection. I remember the reporter said to me just before, we had the big camera right in front of us, there were about 20 people in the studio, and she said, don't think of the 2 million people watching this right now. So clearly I freaked. All I could think about was the 2 million people watching this right now. I looked in the camera and I just absolutely froze. It was atrocious. One of the worst interviews ever of all time, I'm sure. However, what we did do, what they had in the studio was a table tennis table. And with my brother, we just did forehand to forehand. We just kept that ball on the table. And for us, that was a really simple thing. But for them, they were blown away of how we were able to just keep the ball on the table consistently. And you know, this happens a lot for people, is that we do things that we're not even conscious that we're good at, that we do all the time. You know, it's like an unconscious competence we have with something, and other people look at it and think, wow, that's amazing. How do you do that? But you often think it's not that great. And it's another point I'm making about this too is with media, they're not just looking to educate, they also want to entertain. So if you can do something that's visually creative with your message, the media is going to love that as well. So they love the fact that we had the table there, and thankfully we were able to play table tennis in the studio. So I was sponsored also by MLC Junior Sports Foundation at age 11, alongside Joanna Griggs and Jeff Hugel, some pretty big sports stars now. And Joanna Griggs is now, she hosts Better Homes and Gardens and has been an Olympic host, and amazing lady. And from that, I went on and I did my first radio show at age 13 in Sydney. I went on and did a media degree at the University of Canberra. Interestingly, you know, I was born as a first generation Australian to Greek, Turkish and Ukrainian with heritage, right? So really it was interesting growing up as a first generation Australian in Sydney, because there was a lot of racism back then. There was a lot of bullying. I actually got bullied as a kid. I never felt I belonged. I never, you know, I had depression growing up. I was very angry with the world about certain things I saw, particularly animal cruelty really upset me whenever I saw that. Negative news was another thing I got very upset about from a young age. And my dad used to always watch the news every single night, not just one news channel. He would go from one news channel to the next news channel. And I remember one night, I went up to my dad and I was just in tears at the end of watching the news. And I just said, why is the world so awful? Why are people so nasty? And why is this all happening? And he just said, well, that's just how the world is. And so it's interesting that when you watch consistent negative news, or constant negative news, or CNN, some people might say, when you're watching constant negative news, it really can affect your state of mind, right? And so one thing I'm really passionate about now is getting more good news out in the media to lift people's spirits, because I've had depression. I've had 4 friends take their own lives before the age of 45. And there's actually about 1 million people worldwide who actually take their own lives across the world, which I think is tragic. And sure, there's always going to be some negative things going on in the world, but the thing is not to focus on that and dwell on that and think the whole world is like that. The thing is actually to look at and celebrate the great things that people are doing as well. So it's like the yin yang of life, right? There's always going to be, you know, dark forces, light forces, etc. And, you know, with COVID right now, there's certain things we can't control right now. But what you can control is what you're going to focus on and what you're going to do now. And there's massive opportunities right now to pivot in life and business and take things to another level for yourself, despite the lockdown on our freedoms, etc., that is going on in some ways. So I went on and did a media degree. I edited the university newspaper in Canberra called Curio. And I actually applied for this job 3 times before I got it, interestingly. And then I became the longest serving editor. I had 30 contributors to that publication. It was a 24 to 48 page publication that we put out every 2 weeks. And I just used to write about stories about things that upset me in the world. So I would write about, you know, one of the first stories I wrote was an anti-duck shooting story. I couldn't believe people were shooting ducks for fun, and they still do it in Victoria. And so the headline we had at the time was "Go and Get Ducked," right? It was sort of in your face, uni press, right? And then I did one on battery farming of chickens, and then I did one on the environment, and I did one on female circumcision. So I would watch documentaries, I would see stories about things that upset me, and I would write about it. And I felt if I could write about something and impact just one person out there and help them to shift their thinking on something, then it was worth me putting some media out, right? I felt that I was making a difference in some way. But the thing is, it wasn't just one person. person that I was impacting thousands of people. And that's what happens when you step up with your message, is you're impacting thousands. And it's hard to really fathom the exact impact you're having, because not everyone lets you know that they've read the story or seen the story or whatever. But, you know, I think just speaking your truth and sharing your message is crucial in life to feel like you're being of service. You know, what's the point of being the world's best kept secret, right? So I then did my first media training in 2000 as well. I had repeated calls for more. I worked as a journalist with News Limited and APN newspapers mainly. I worked in radio, worked in TV. So I've really had experience in all assets of media, all facets of media. And having worked behind the scenes too, I know what works and what doesn't work when it comes to getting publicity. Because in each media outlet, you've got two main departments. You've got your journalists, which is the editorial department or the newsroom, and you've got the advertising section, right? You've got your sales department. Now, if your story is too commercial, with any media outlet you approach, they're going to say, just go to the sales department and take out an ad and spend thousands of dollars, right? So the thing is to come up with a newsworthy story, there is a format, there's a process to that, which I'm going to touch on today with this webinar and give you what I can in the next 90 minutes. So what I'm going to show you too, it works in all types of media, whether you want to get TV coverage, radio coverage, magazines, get in magazines or newspapers. And a lot of newspapers, we've had regional newspapers lately have closed down, some of them with the physical printed edition. However, they've still got their online versions happening, right? So even though the form is changing of some newspapers where things are going online and some magazines, the fact is there's still massive coverage and reach that is happening through these media outlets. So the strategies I'll show you work with all types of media. These are just some of the media that I've had coverage in, or I've had clients in, newspapers, some of the mastheads, some of the magazines all around the world. I've had stories in Jetstar magazine, in Singapore, XL magazine in Singapore, went to 25 countries, M magazine in South Africa. So no matter where you want to go, there is a media outlet out there that will want your story right now. And these strategies, a process I'll show you, works for all types of media. Now, I've also interviewed these stars here and others, Charlie Sheen, Jewel, and Vanilla Ice. I interviewed in LA personally in the last few years as well. And there's a few things all these stars have in common. Firstly, they were once the world's best kept secret, which you might feel right now like you're the world's best kept secret, right? Well, the fact is anyone who's known as anyone was once there, right? Was once the world's best kept secret. The other thing they all have in common is they're passionate about what they do. So think about yourself now with what you do. Are you really passionate about what you do? To the point that if money wasn't an issue, you would still be doing that thing. And if you're not, then I suggest start doing more of what you're passionate about, because life is too damn short, right? You know, a third of people die by the age of 65. 1/3 of all people die by 65. I've lost about 8 friends in the last year, and 7 of them under the age of 60. And different things, cancers, one suicided, you know, I mean, just at any point, you never know how long we're all going to be here, right? So you want to make the most of it. And ideally, and making the most of it, it happens in the moments, right? It happens in decisions on a day-to-day basis. Now, another thing all these people have in common is they had someone else representing them to the media. Now, you don't have to do this, but it always looks better if you have someone else saying you're amazing as opposed to you saying you're amazing when you're pitching to the media, right? And the other thing they all have in common, and someone said to me once in a physical seminar, they said they all take cocaine. Well, look, I don't know if they all take cocaine. I can't say for sure about their drug habits. However, another thing they all have in common is they have hardened themselves to criticism. Now, if you're going to put yourself out there, you need to be able to do this. You need to be able to be okay with criticism. I mean, let's just look at Donald Trump as a perfect example. I mean, you know, there's people that love him, there's people that hate him, right? No matter what you do, there's going to be people out there that love you, and there's going to be people that hate you, okay? So if you're speaking your truth, then it doesn't matter what other people think, right? You need to toughen yourself to that. And we've seen celebrities drop off the rails that have been affected by negative publicity, right? We've seen it. We've seen it because they've taken things to heart. They've made it mean things about themselves. The thing is to remember too here is that hurt people hurt people. And there will be jealousy out there. There's going to be people that are not going to like you stepping up because they're going to feel inadequate about it, right? So ideally, you want to look at your environment, look at the types of people you hang out with as well. Are they going to be encouraging you to live into what's possible for yourself? Or are they going to be, you know, constantly negative around you? And you might want to limit your time with those friends. In fact, sometimes they're family, right? So, you know, your environment's really important through this process as well. And having like-minded people who can help urge you along and who have your back. Now, nowadays, there's a massive amount of opportunity with the online TV show world. We've got so many podcasts now that have started, online TV shows. I've been co-hosting tech webcasts for a few years, and that podcast has had over 1 million downloads in the past 8 years. I have Media Queen TV that I have on my YouTube channel. I've got about 450 videos on there, interviews with people. And every time I do an interview with someone, I'm capturing a legacy for that person. And I think of, you know, my friends that took their own lives. There was no video of them anywhere. You know, they say if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1 million words. So video marketing is really, really powerful nowadays. And if you're not doing any, I suggest start to think about this. Start to think about, could you start your own online TV show or your own podcast to help build your credibility and brand as well? Massive opportunity. Now, looking at what you're passionate about, there's a lot you can do to tie in your business or your message with what you're passionate about. So for me, good news, I mentioned, I'm really passionate about that to help lift people's spirits, decrease depression, anxiety, suicide rates. So positive media. And in line with that, I've created a good news day. I created a global good news day on the 8th of the 8th, 18. We've got our next one coming up shortly. And just in the last month since COVID, in June, I created the Global Good News Challenge. And so now we've got a whole lot of people going out and sharing gratitude and good news on Facebook as a result of that challenge. So I created some events in line with my passion. And you may want to do the same, or you could align your business or what you do with a charity that's already close to your heart. Okay, and that's a great way to get publicity too. We call that a charity angle. I'm going to cover a bit more on that later. And then the other thing I'm passionate about is inspiring action for animals. So for years, seeing animal cruelty, I got very upset by it. I saw the Earthlings documentary. I don't know if you've seen that. If you haven't, you might want to have a look. It's very hard to watch. It's called Earthlings. It's narrated by Jaquan Phoenix. It shows how humans have used animals over time for food, clothing, scientific research. And it's very, you know, by the end of it, I was literally holding my throat and crying. I was so upset by what I saw. And I just felt, what can I do to help animals? What can I do? I just felt really hopeless and helpless to be able to do anything about it. And then I thought, right, I'm going to just create a fun day. And what will I call it? I thought, well, Animal Action Day. There was no other Animal Action Day in the world at the time, 2007. I created the world's first Animal Action Day. And that was to inspire awareness, appreciation, and respect for animals. I've aligned with different charities every year. I've now done 13 annual events for animals. We're up to the 14th event this year. We'll be on the 10th of October. It's going to be on Zoom for the very first time this year. So it will be online on the 10th of October at night time. We've got a few performers and speakers lined up. And that's something I did. Now, there's a lot of work involved in putting on your own event, right? If you do a Facebook Live challenge, it's not as much work if you do something like that. Or an online event, but the physical events where we had 30 performers and speakers at some of these events, they were massive things to organize. So I'm not suggesting necessarily go out and create your own event, but it might be something you might want to think about, creating a special day, and there's days and weeks for just about anything out there, right? We've got the Peace Days, we've got Small Business Week, we've got Harmony Days, we've got Are You OK Day, we've got Daffodil Day, we've got all these different things, right? So it's just something to think about, because it's something you can tie in with your media campaign, okay? Now, there's 3 steps to publicity I'm going to cover today. The first is your product. And with product, also we need to look at here, what is the message you want to get out? What do you want to see some change in the world? So what is it that when you see it, that you are moved by it, or it affects you in some way? So you may have a physical product, or you might have a service that you want to promote. The thing is, what we need to look at is the story behind that, because if you just go and promote the product or the widget, it's going to be seen as too commercial. So we need to look at what is the story behind the product or service that you want to promote. And what is your awesome? What is it when you tell people about yourself or about what you do, they say, wow, tell me more about that. What is that for you? Now let's look at the cost of advertising. This may be a way that you might have got your products or services out in the past. And in Australia, these are the kind of amounts you are paying for traditional advertising. For TV, for a 30-second spot, you're paying up to $25,000 for ads during high-rating shows, right? Just for a 30-second spot. And people don't just do one spot, they do multiple spots, right? Radio, 60-second spot, $500. Now, have you done advertising here? I'd love to see in the chat, have you done advertising? Yeah, I can see a few nods there. Yeah, magazines, a full page ad, you will know, magazines, $4,000. It's about the same kind of rates anywhere in the world, wherever you go, in US dollars, in pounds. We're looking at these kind of amounts. Newspapers, full page newspaper ad, $10,000 up to $100,000 for a wraparound ad, right? Yellow pages, for anyone still doing them, $30,000 plus is what you're paying. And then we've got digital advertising. And with digital advertising, digital, how, you know, the sky's the limit with that too. And, you know, most people I ask when it comes to Facebook advertising or Instagram or YouTube, with advertising, it's generally only about a quarter of the people I speak to are actually getting great results from their digital advertising as well. And there's a whole art form to that. I'm not a specialist in advertising. It's not my thing. I'm all about getting free organic traffic, free publicity, right? So I suggest don't waste your money on advertising. So why free publicity? Well, why free publicity? Because actually stories are worth 3 to 8 times more than ads. And there's several stats on this online, and there's several reasons it's worth 3 to 8 times more. And if you think about how you consume the media, when you're watching a TV show and the ads come on, you tend to switch off, right? We switch off, you know, we go get a cuppa, or we'll go to the bathroom, or, you know, and same with radio. When an ad comes on, and usually the volume is higher on the ads, we switch channels. We go to another channel, or we mute it, or we just switch off with ads. So why waste thousands of dollars in advertising when you can get the free publicity? People want the stories. They love stories. Since the beginning of time, we've loved stories, right? So it's about sharing your story, and your X factor is your story. No one else has your story. So no matter, you know, what sort of life you've had, I would imagine that if you are here right now, that there's been some hardship. You've had some hard times, right? Because that's life. Like, life is like a roller coaster ride, right? And I always say, you know, just strap in on that roller coaster ride. You're going to have your times you're going to go down. You're going to have times you're going to go up. You're going to have times you go round and round circles. You're going to have times you feel like you're going backwards. Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. Right? That's how life goes. So it's a matter of enjoying the journey the whole time. And then also noticing in those low points you've had in your life, what have been the big learning experiences for you? Because there's a story right there. There's most likely also a story about why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you doing the kind of business you're doing now? I imagine most of you are in business or want to be in business. There's a reason you're doing what you're doing. There's a reason you're passionate about what you're passionate about. There'll be a story behind that. So we want to dig these gems out when you're looking at your PR campaign. Now, also publicity builds credibility, trust, and celebrity status like never before. And trust is massive now, particularly with so much online marketing happening. People are thinking, who can they trust? You know, if you have videos out there, if you have publicity out there and you've been in different media, you will automatically have that credibility and trust that comes with these media outlets that have been around for hundreds of years. You can target your message to your ideal clients with publicity as well. So I've mentioned the cost of advertising there. There's literally thousands and thousands of media outlets out there where you can get your message out, and they're looking for someone to comment on your topic, on what you do. There's a lot of media that do feature stories and just want to hear your inspiring stories of how you've overcome hardship. You know, after every breakdown, there's a breakthrough. That's the thing to remember too, right? There's always always a light at the end of the tunnel with everything. And you'll increase your traffic and leads and sales naturally as well with publicity. So it is a great way to leverage yourself. And I know now a lot of people are time poor. If that's you, if you feel time poor right now, you definitely want to be leveraging publicity, because you do the story once, you do the interview once, and it's out there forever, right? And it's very, very powerful. You're leveraging yourself with this and reaching thousands of people, and do the work once. Okay, also story views versus ad views. Stories are viewed 22 times more than ads. 22 times more eyeballs on the stories versus the ads. So hopefully I'm convincing you here not to spend money on advertising. And the media needs your story. Every single day they're looking for ideas for new stories. Now, when I worked as a journalist at the Gold Coast Bulletin, every day we had 2 editorial meetings. There would be one at 10 a.m. and there would be one at 2 p.m. every single day with the editor. And the editor would sit us down, the top journalists, there were about 10 of us, and we had this paper going out Monday to Saturday, every single day for 6 days. And every day they'd say, right, what stories have you got for us today? Right? And we'd have to come up with 3 great stories at least every single day that we're working as journalists. Now, that was actually really, really challenging to get 3 good stories, because even though we had about 500 press releases that would come our way every day, a lot of them were crap. A lot of them ended up in the bin because they weren't relevant or they were too commercial. Right, so understanding the media outlet that you're pitching to is also really crucial, right? So we were a Gold Coast publication. We were getting press releases from Perth. Well, we don't care about what's happening in Perth unless there's someone from Perth who's going to be speaking on the Gold Coast. Then we might be interested, right? You always want the local angle when you're a local media outlet. Okay, so there's something to think about, with the media you're targeting. What is it? What area of expertise are they looking for? What sort of topics is the magazine on? Is it a health publication? Is it on business? Is it on entrepreneurialism? Is it, what is it on? You want to target that message, ideally. The opportunity is absolutely huge out there. And as more people are going online with their stories now, there's an even bigger gap now that needs filling with traditional media. And journalists are really, really busy. There's a 5-year burnout with journalists. They're incredibly busy people and they speak fast. Like I'm speaking quite fast now, and I've got quite a lot to cover in the next hour or so we've got left. And they speak fast. So when you're pitching to media, you need to be snappy. You've got 45 seconds to get your pitch across. Right? You don't want to be wasting their time. You will annoy them. If you burn bridges, you'll never be able to make them back again, right? You need to be coming across professionally first time round to make sure that you increase your chances of getting publicity and also build relationships with journalists. Because if you actually give a journalist a story that they want and you know what you're doing when it comes to this, they're going to love you. And once they've got you on their book as an expert, not only are they going to love you, they're going to keep coming back to you. So you will be able to get multiple media spots once you start building those relationships with journalists. And so that's why it's crucial to be really professional about how you're coming across. So with your PR campaign, have a think about what product or service do you want to promote or sell. And I suggest brainstorm this. There could be multiple things you're doing. I find a lot of people who come to me, they say, well, I'm doing this and this, and I don't know what to promote. So it depends on what your main focus is. If your main focus is to bring more income in through the door, then what is it that's going to be bringing you the greatest amount of income, right, in the shortest amount of time? Then it's like the 80-20 rule, right? Focusing 20% of your efforts on 80% that is making you the most money, if that's what you want. If you want to leave a legacy, well, what do you want to leave a legacy about? Is it a specific aspect of your story? Is it something you want to impact in society? What is it that you want to promote? We need to get really clear on this. And then what is your story behind that? What is your story? And you want to be thinking too about who is your ideal client at this point too. Who do you want to approach? Because your ideal clients will be consuming certain media, so you could target the media outlets that your client is consuming. So for example, Stephen Esser is a guy I worked with. He's known as the webinar guy, and a few years ago came to me, worked with a few other PR people, and none of them were able to get him any publicity. And we sat down, we went through his story, we found 3 angles for his story. And the 3 angles were, one was that 5 years previously, he was a panel beater in the western suburbs of Sydney and he was fairly broke. And now 5 years later, he's a multi-millionaire. Well, how did he do that? We did it through the power of webinars. So there's a whole angle there. There was another angle that he was actually doing a free event across Australia and New Zealand at the time, and he was helping offline businesses go online. So that was another angle for him, right? And the third angle was we actually had a technology angle for him because he created some software to help automate webinars. So there were 3 angles we were able to go to media with. So you often want to think about 3 angles, because when you're pitching to media, if they don't like your first angle, you could say, well, how about this angle or this angle, right? And often it can be a subjective thing depending on the journalist and what their likes and dislikes are as to whether they're going to like your story as well, right? So there is a bit of subjectivity that comes in, even though journalists are meant to be objective. They do bring their own thoughts and feelings to the party about things. Now, the media can be overwhelming, right? Sometimes you might even feel like this little Tweety bird on the right here, right? And social media, you know, it's like a whole other language sometimes in social media, isn't it? You know, you feel like there's lols and hashtags and ats, and you think, what the hell, you know, what does this mean, you know? And then, you know, you could be like this Tweety bird on the right going, what the fudge is going on, right? What the fudge is this about? Well, the beauty is, the good news is here, is that even though social media language can be confusing and social media can be overwhelming, with traditional media, when you're pitching to a journalist, you need to actually pitch your story as if a 14-year-old can understand it. So you want to keep your messaging very, very simple. You want to avoid jargon, very, very simple languaging, because if you confuse people, you'll lose people, right? So keep it very, very simple. Now, the next thing is, once you're clear on what it is you want to promote, you need to then package it up. Now, I highly recommend a press release. You can get media without a press release, but you increase the chances that the media are going to get the facts wrong, okay? Because they're rushing around, all right? They're rushing around, they're busy. So the easier you can make it for them with a press release, the better. Then what you also need is visuals. You need some photos or some creative visuals to go with that. With radio also now, because radio are doing their stories, putting them online and on social media. And TV are always thinking visuals. So no matter what media you're going to, always think in visuals and how can you make your story creative. And then pitch. You've got 45 seconds to get your pitch across, to get your angle across to the journalist when you're pitching. So they're the three elements of packaging it up in the first step. Target your message to the right media, as I mentioned. So wherever your avatar is, or your ideal clients, or whoever you want to reach, have a think about the kinds of media outlets that your clients are consuming. If you don't know, then I suggest ask them. Okay, I suggest start to ask your clients, what sort of media are they enjoying? What sort of shows are they watching? What sort of radio, what podcasts? And most likely you'll find that your clients are often similar to you, and that they're consuming media that is similar to what you're consuming. But it's always good to ask, and you could do a survey monkey survey on this to ask what sort of media they're consuming. Now, here's some campaign idea joggers for you. The first thing you can do is provide a unique solution to something that is currently in the media. So unique solution. Next thing is an award angle. If you've won any awards whatsoever, awards are really great for publicity. Controversy. Now, I love controversy, I must say, and the media love it too. They love to write about stories and cover stories that get people talking. Okay, so controversy is really hot. And I mean, I just mentioned the terms vaccination, right, or 5G, and they're controversial terms right now, and you're going to have an opinion about it, and we could be talking about it for a long time, right? So controversy. What's controversial in your industry? What is getting people talking right now? And then new statistics. The media loves statistics. So what new statistics are there on your topic or in your field? And if you're in Australia, Australian Bureau of Statistics is a good place to look for that. Or just do a Google search on statistics and you'll find things. Current commentary. Right now, COVID is obviously big news. It's been big news since March, and it's still big news. So anything around COVID, about how you're helping people through COVID, is a hot topic right now. What can you do to help people who are currently stressing out over COVID? That's current commentary. You could be the underdog in an issue, provide an alternate point of view. Have a hero angle. So a zero to hero angle, something where you've overcome some hardship. You don't have to have gone from broke to multimillionaire, but you could have some kind of hero angle where you've overcome some hardship and how you've done that. Some kind of inspiration in the hero angle. And celebrity angle, okay, you could have a celebrity to support something you're doing. Now, if you align yourself with a charity, often the charities have celebrities that support those charities. So you could actually access celebrities through different charities that you might support. You could see if you could get access to those celebrities through there. And then photo opportunity or picture opportunity. You might have an average kind of story, but if you have great visuals, you're going to increase your chance of getting publicity. So very, very important. Your visuals, very, very important. Now, this is a client I worked with a few months ago. This is Dr. Mia, and we put a press release out saying that fear of COVID is making people sick. And what we did in this press release is we said these are simple things people can do to build their immune system through COVID. So we've got here, you know, breathing deeply, avoid refined sugar, drink plenty of water, eat plenty of fruit and vegetables. See, very simple messaging You know, get sunshine, reduce alcohol, simple messaging. So any negative can be turned into a positive. When I did a fundraiser for koalas a few years ago, the angle we went with is there's 50,000 koalas left in the wild now. They're critically endangered. However, these are 3 simple things that you can do to help save koalas. You can drive slowly at night, you can plant eucalypt trees, and you can contain your dogs at night so they don't attack the koalas. Okay, so any negative can be turned into a positive. And this is what we did here. And the media loved it. There's so many journalists that want more positive stories. They're just not receiving it. They're not getting the positive news a lot of the time. So the journalists I've been talking to, they've been loving it. They're saying, thank goodness we've got a positive story, you know. So it's not all negative. And in fact, the good news too about that is there's actually a good news movement happening across the world. We've got Good News Network now. We've got Sunny Skies News, Huffington Post, news.com.au, MSN have all got good news sections now. There's a happy newspaper that went viral in the UK recently. So things are changing. People are drawn to the light. They want more positivity. They want to be uplifted with their media, and they've had enough of the negativity, right? So this is exciting news for you to help. You can help inspire and lift people up around you with your positive story. And often the inspiration comes from looking at where have you had some low points and how have you come through that. Now, this story ended up on Channel 7. When you get your media coverage, make sure you get photos with the journalists when you can. Now, this is before the social distancing came into place, when we had this photo shoot here, and we got photos closer together. And this is on Channel 9. This is all on the Gold Coast. So that story, that the media loved it. This is Teressa Todd. Now, she's a lady on the Gold Coast who is a homeschool mum, and she was helping people who were running businesses from home and also homeschooling. And she's launched some empowering women courses online to help homeschool mums. And we also put this press release out in time for Mother's Day. So that's another hot tip for you, is that you look for an event you can tie into. So with my animal action events, I do them in line with World Animal Week, which is the 4th to the 10th of October. So I always do it around that time. And so this one was in line with Mother's Day. And at this point, social distancing had come into place. So that's why everyone's spread out in this photo. This is on Channel 7, action photos. And here is on Juice FM and Channel 7. Now, a lot of radio interviews at the moment during COVID are happening by phone because of the social distancing situation. And so if you have a phone interview, I highly recommend that you get a photo, even of yourself, out the front of the media outlet so that it builds your brand and credibility. So that's a fantastic idea. Not many people think of that when they're getting their media coverage. Make sure you cover it in some way with visuals so that you can promote that in your social media. Now, this is Dean Vegas, who ran for mayor here on the Gold Coast a few times. And this is a press release we put out. And we were saying that if he made it in as mayor, he was going to stop performing as Elvis, because he was actually voted the world's best Elvis performer. And we did this campaign a week out from the event. The event was packed. We had TV, we had radio, we had newspapers. There was a whole lot of media there at the time. And he actually did really well with his campaign, but he didn't actually make it in as mayor. Although what has happened for Dean now is he has booked solid as Elvis ever since. He's been booked solid, right? So there's no such thing as bad publicity. And he was able to share his vision for the city as well. So you can see here from these 2 photos here, we've got photos that are relevant to the press release. We've got the corporate looking Dean going for mayor, you know, looking serious, because not everyone's going to take him serious being Elvis, right? And then we've got him dressed as Elvis, because that's also a big part of what he does. So relevant pictures are crucial. All right, now the second step to publicity is your platform. Where do you want to go out to? What sort of media do you want to get? Now, if you haven't had any media before, I highly recommend you just start with your local media, your local papers, if they're still going. And in fact, there's new papers are now starting, since some of them have been closing. So there's other ones that are starting to open up. So there's still, you know, going to be local publications. So local publications, local community radio stations are a great place to start to help build your confidence in your message and what you're doing. So just start small and build your way up, I suggest. You don't have to go straight for the morning shows or for the big podcasts. Just build yourself up. And also local media are also always looking for people in the local area that are doing great things. All right, so platform, TV, radio, newspapers, or magazines. You could create a hit list for yourself of which specific TV shows, radio shows, newspapers, magazines you want to target. So even with community radio, they all have different shows that they run, different volunteers that come and run the shows. So you want to ideally target a specific show when you are even targeting community radio. Now, the opportunity is absolutely massive. This is just Australia alone. This is how many media outlets, thousands of media outlets there are: TV, radio, print, magazines, newspapers. Magazines alone in Australia, 1,600 magazines alone just in Australia. So no matter what topic it is that you want to talk about, no matter what your story, there will be a journalist that wants to hear from you, because right now you could be the world's best kept secret and they want new stories. They want to hear some different news and different angles on things. So, and the thing is too, is if you know 10% more than someone else on a topic, you can teach it. So don't think to yourself that, oh, I have to know everything about the topic, or who am I to, be the expert, or, just if you know 10% more than someone else, you can teach it. Okay. So you can step up, and you're never going to know everything about a topic anyway. You never will, because things are constantly changing. Right. So just notice if that little negative voice comes in, that little sabotaging voice, right? That little monkey chatter. Notice when it comes in and wants to stop you. That's just trying to keep you safe. It's all hindbrain stuff, right? Trying to keep you safe. And so it's going to take something for you to get publicity. It's going to take you building your courage in yourself and in your message and what you want to achieve. And the opportunity is right there for you. Now, make sure you get the photos also if you're inside the radio studio. So some stations may still allow you to go into the studio. So if you do get in the studio, then make sure you get these kind of photos where you are there. This is on the left here. This is me being interviewed by Channel 9. We're doing a fundraiser for Sea Shepherd at the time for one of my animal action events. And the angle we used there is that for Sea Shepherd, it was going to be costing them $50 million just in fuel alone to help save the whales off Australian shores. That was a massive angle. It was a really unique angle. The other thing that happened at that year is that the Japanese said they were going to stop whaling, and they were still whaling for scientific research, right? So we were talking up about that as well. Now, on the right here, this was Herb Armstrong, is the grandson of Louis Armstrong, the legendary Louis Armstrong, and he's actually based in Brisbane, and he performed at one of my events. He's actually a fantastic singer. And here we are in the ABC radio studio about to talk about the Animal Action event. And what happened is we actually got a curveball question. Now, this can happen to you if you're in your media interviews. A curveball question is when the media asks something that's topical in the news at that moment, that's not necessarily directly related to what you do, but kind of related. So we were talking about the Animal Action event, and they said, what do you think of the live burial of thousands of sheep in Pakistan recently? Right? Because these sheep were seen as diseased, and they just buried them all in a big pit alive. And clearly I was, even though I didn't know the whole story about the Pakistan sheep, I thought the fact that thousands are buried alive, I said, that's disgusting. I can't believe it's happened. So you want to be able to comment on things like that, and ideally do your research before you go into the interviews on what else is trending on that topic that you're going to talk about, right? In case you get those curveball questions. And then newspapers, make sure you get your clippings as well of your newspapers. These are all ways you can leverage and maximize your publicity by sharing it online, on your websites, emailing people, etc. Now, this is Tracy Corman, who I worked with a little while ago. She runs a company called Two's Company, and it's a dating agency. And this is a half-page story that went in Business Acumen magazine. So Tracy wanted to target more business clients. And this story, the angle here was about helping busy business people avoid shonks in the dating industry, because at the time there was a lot of fraud happening in the dating industry. And so we put this angle out saying these are simple things people can do to help avoid being ripped off in the dating industry. And then the story goes on to talk about the number of weddings she's had in the business, how many charities she supports, and then a lovely link to her website at the end. Now, if she paid for an ad, it would have cost her $2,000 for this ad. The publicity value we've said is worth 3 to 8 times more. We'll just times it by 5 for the purposes of today. And so we'll just say it's worth about $10,000 for this half-page story. And now forever in her marketing, she can say, as seen in Business Acumen magazine. Now, if she wanted to target, say, a women's magazine, so say she wanted to target, say, Women's Weekly, she could put an angle out such as 5 ways to find your soulmate. Okay, that could be a great angle for a women's magazine or something like Mamma Mia for a podcast. So same business, there's different stories. Now, there's also a great personal story with Tracy that she's overcome abuse and depression. And how has she done that? Right? So there's a great personal feature story for her there as well. And this is Alan Coulton here. He's a guy in Brisbane, and now he came to me and he wanted to promote this thing called root barrier. Now, I didn't know what a root barrier was, but basically what it is a massive plastic barrier that you put around a house, and it stops the tree roots from coming under the house and cracking the foundation of the house. And now if he'd gone to the media and said, I want to promote this root barrier product, they would have said, just take out an ad. That's too commercial. So what we had to do is look for, how does this product help the wider community? Now, how it helps the wider community in this case is that we were actually helping the environment, because we were saving trees, and we were also helping people in that we were protecting their buildings with this barrier. So that's the angle of the story. So we had, with the release of the new Al Gore film, also we piggybacked on something currently in the media, which was An Inconvenient Truth had just come out, the Al Gore film, and it was talking about global warming. So we tied in the press release with that. So we said, with all that happening, an innovative Brisbane company is doing its bit to help the environment. Right, because the journalist wants to cover stories that their readers, viewers, listeners are going to be interested in. So you need to really think about, how is what you're doing affecting the wider community? How is it helping people? And that's what we did here. And that is a relevant photo. I took that photo of Alan in Brisbane, and that's a photo of him showing his drawings. So it's a relevant photo to the press release. So having those relevant visuals with your media is really crucial. And then what happened with that is there was a 4-page spread in Australian Horticulture Magazine to his ideal clients, and if he paid for advertising, $4,000 he would have paid per page. Okay, so 4 pages of advertising would have cost him $16,000 if he paid for ads, but because this is free publicity, it's actually worth at least 5 times more. We've said 3 to 8 times more. That's $80,000 worth of free publicity from appearing in this magazine. And more so than that, he got hundreds of thousands of dollars of new business from his ideal clients who read this magazine. So that's the power of targeting your message directly to where your clients are going to be. Just one story can take things to a whole other level for you. Now, the first step to publicity is profit and maximizing your PR. I've mentioned, when you get your coverage, make sure you take photos of it. And then what you can do is share it in your social media, and also thank the journalists that have done the stories. Always be grateful. Always be grateful in everything, right? If you're grateful, you will attract more opportunities to yourself. If you're miserable, unless you have friends that you want to have a pity party with, right? If you're miserable, then you're going to attract misery around you, and not much is going to happen for you, right? So you're either lifting people's spirits with what you do, or depressing the energy, right? So with media, always be thankful to the journalist. And what you can do with your social media is, when you get your clippings, you thank the journalist directly. You can tag them in the media, and also tag the media outlet. So for example, you appear on Channel 9, you say thank you to Channel 9 News for this, and then you tag the Channel 9, and you can also post directly onto the Channel 9 Facebook page as well, right? And you're reaching thousands of people that way as well. So you really want to make sure that you leverage as much as possible what you're doing to profit from this and reach more people. And then also you can send out an email campaign, and you can celebrate your media win and let people know that you've just had this coverage, right? There's lots of different things you can do here to maximize your PR and to profit from it. There's also a whole lot of online news sites as well that you can promote what you're doing. Now, the fact is, you don't know who is going to be seeing your media at any one time. And it could just be one person that sees your media that can take things to a whole other level for you. Now, this is a local filmmaker called Peter Turner on the Gold Coast. And just one story in the local paper led to a $200,000 funding offer of his film project within 1 to 2 days of the story coming out. And literally, in this particular case, we use what we call a celebrity angle. We had someone in the studio, which is actually, this story is what actually came out. Now, this is Silvio Offria from Home and Away. He's not even a huge star, right? But the fact is, he was in the studio that day. We had one call to the local paper. They came out with a journalist photographer. They did this beautiful, positive story, soap star awash with enthusiasm for Coast Crime Drama Dream. Lovely, positive story. And this is what happened, $200,000 funding offer. And you just never know. That could happen to you, right? With whatever it is you're putting out there. One person out of the hundreds of thousands of people that see that paper may pick up your story and go, wow, I'm really inspired by this. I'd love to help out with this. This is Justin Kelly here. He's a guy that did health seminars, and for years all he did was free publicity with his local media. And literally he would pack out seminars. Nowadays obviously we're doing all the online events, which it doesn't matter now, they're just going online. But just free publicity he used, and he packed out events. He had consistently new clients and business for more than 6 months. So this is the thing with your PR campaign. It's the kind of thing you can just turn it on and turn it off when you get too busy, right? You turn it on when you want more leads and clients, and then you can just turn it off for a bit, right? And he had an awesome life for many years. He says he traveled the world for years and just free publicity in the local media. This is Claire Flynn. She's a relationships expert, and she wanted to target more business clients. So here we've said happy relationships lead to successful businesses. So we've targeted her message for the business people. We've got great tips there on how you can have a happy relationship. And you know, it's an amazing 2-page story. This was in Newland magazine that went out to 5-star resorts in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. And it was also to Chinese and the Aussie market to help bridge the cultural gap between the West and the East. Lovely story. What happened from this is that one person saw it who asked her to speak at an event in front of 450 of her ideal clients. Also, she had more inquiries and leads on a website, and she went from making 1,000 a week to 2,000 a week in a business, and that just kept going up. She started to charge more for what she was doing. Just from one magazine article, her business just went crazy. And I know up until before COVID, she was traveling 3 months of the year now. I don't know quite where she is right now, but I know she was having an amazing life, and she got a lot out of this media coverage. And again, she can use As Seen in Newland magazine forever in her marketing once she has that, which is also a great way to profit from your media, is actually to say you've been seen here, there and everywhere, right, in the media. So having that list of media logos to your name is also a really great way to boost your credibility and authority in what you do. Now, this is Paul Herman. He's a property investor, and he was fighting bank fraud. And what happened with him is that he found that his loan documents had been fraudulently altered by the banks, and he was actually forced to foreclose on some of his properties. So he went out and he arrested the ANZ Bank for fraud, and he did some amazing publicity stunts. And he was on A Current Affair, he was on Gold Coast Bulletin, ABC, 2GB, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of media. But it just goes to show that one guy can stand up to the big guys like the banks and make a difference. And now he's in negotiations with the bank to renegotiate his home loans, right? So it's definitely worth speaking up about something if you're not happy about it. And with the power of the media, you know, you're not alone because you have that extra leverage to make a difference. Now, Stephen Esser, he ended up being on Sky News Business TV. Now, interestingly, Stephen was actually voted the world's best public speaker at the Global Internet Summit, World Internet Summit with Brett McFall and Tom Hua years ago. But he was very, very nervous with TV. He'd never been on TV. He was incredibly nervous. We did some media training one-on-one together. And what happened is we were actually told that we had a 3 to 5 minute segment for this TV interview. Now, and that's what you're going to get pretty much with radio and with TV interviews. 3 to 5 minutes is about all you're going to get. Right. But what happened is that at the end of this training, he was so good with his interview that it ended up being a 6-minute spot on TV, which the 6 minutes, if he was to pay for advertising, remember 30-second ad cost is $25,000, right? So 6 minutes is $300,000 he would have paid for 6 minutes of advertising, times the publicity value times 5, that's $1.5 million of free publicity. And as someone who does webinars and online marketing, he can now say forever as seen on TV. And how powerful is that? Just appear once and you can say forever as seen on TV. And now he has more confidence in his message. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire now, Stephen. He's living in penthouse, living the dream life. He's got a massive team of people all working for him. You know, things have gone crazy for him. So, so he was pretty impressed, let's just say. So I mentioned before tagging the different media once you get your clippings. Now, always ask your media outlet, ask them if you can get the MP3 or if you can get the press clippings or if you can get a PDF with some media outlets. So example, recently Hans Jacoby was up at Sunday. I'm doing PR at the moment for a guy called Hans Jacoby who has come out of retirement after 11 years. He's 66 years of age and he's doing a bounce back to freedom tour from Bundaberg up to Darwin currently. And what he's doing is he's helping people bounce back to freedom from COVID. And he's going to be turning it into a documentary. He's interviewing people along the way. And so what happened is recently we had the Whitsunday News as a new media outlet that started now in the Whitsunday area. And they don't have a website yet. So they said they would send the PDF of the story, right? So in that case, always ask for a PDF or ask if you can get the clipping. With TV coverage, they will generally share the news items onto Facebook or Twitter, and you're able to share from there. If you want to get the high definition video from the TV outlet, often what they'll say is you'll have to pay for that, and sometimes it can be thousands of dollars if you want to get the original footage, and it depends what you're going to be using it for. So if you want that for your marketing, then you need to request that. Otherwise, they're more than happy for you to just share from their social media to share the news item. Put these on your website and your social media site. So link these wherever you can to get it out to as many people as possible, and then celebrate and watch how your credibility and cash flow grows. Now, you're not going to be brilliant at this necessarily straight away. It's going to take something. You know, I was shocking in my first TV interview, atrocious, totally froze. You know, so it's a journey, and you will get more and more confident the more you do it. Now, there's a whole lot of PR distribution sites out there. These are some of them. Now, some charge per email, some charge for media lists. The thing is, though, here you're going to be paying thousands of dollars for these sites, and the media listings that they have are not necessarily up to date. Okay, a lot of them, because media, you know, journalists change around so much, right? They go and they're not always at that media outlet. They change positions, they change roles. So what I tend to do nowadays is I create my own media list, and it's more of a manual process. However, doing it that way, you're actually building relationships one-on-one with journalists. So there's two ways to get your media out. You can do scattergun approach, and you can use one of these places here to go out to thousands of media outlets at once. Or you can do the shotgun approach, which is just targeting specific media where your ideal clients are going to be, or where you want to get your message out. And you could do a combination of both, depending how much time you've got to promote whatever it is you're doing. So with the Dean Vegas campaign, we only had a week to get that PR out. So we did a scattergun approach. We went out to thousands, and then we then followed up with certain ones that we wanted to follow up with. So that's a strategy you can use. I highly recommend to check out SourceBottle if you haven't already. This is a way, there's a lot of media opportunities here that you can actually go on there, and journalists are actually putting on there in all the different areas, in lifestyle, in health, in business. They're putting on their opportunities every single day where they're looking for people to comment about certain things in all these areas. So it's free to go on there. You can go and you can actually pitch your story and pitch yourself to journalists there. And I think that's a great strategy. And in fact, I ended up in Women's Weekly from a SourceBottle call out. I ended up just recently in Yahoo Finance talking about the landlord situation during COVID. So it's, you know, there's really a lot of opportunity there with SourceBottle. Now, this is Michelle Patterson. She's an empowering women's coach I worked with here on the Gold Coast. And she wanted to get some more PR about her new series she was doing, Empowering Women series. And so what we did is we did a press release saying that she's on a mission to relieve women of grief and stress by forced adoptions through classes that were held in the lead up to National Adoption Awareness Week. And we had a date there. So having something with a date is also crucial for your media, because it gives a sense of urgency. If you don't have something with a date, your story can get put on hold again and again and again. So what we did is we put this press release out. Now, we had a little bit of interest from this press release, and then we changed it just slightly to this one here. It's the same press release. We've just tweaked it a little bit. We said, mother opens up on secret forced adoption after 30 years. And what happened with this press release is we were literally inundated with requests for this story. So what ended up happening is that I ended up negotiating, as Michelle's PR person, I negotiated an exclusive story with Women's Day magazine, and they ended up paying thousands of dollars for this story. And this is what happened. These are behind the scenes photos, which were embargoed until Women's Weekly came out. And this is, they sent a makeup and hair person to her unit in Labrador, and then also a photographer they sent up from Sydney to do photos. So these are all behind the scenes photos, which you want to make sure you get to when you get your media coverage, get these behind the scenes photos. And here it is. These are all the Women's Day exclusive photos that we did there. There it is. Make sure you get photos with the journalist and the makeup person too. It's all building relationships. And this is what happened. This is the 2-page spread that ended up in Women's Day magazine. And if she had paid for advertising, Michelle would have paid $60,000 for the advertising. The publicity value times that by 5 is $300,000, and 1.6 million readers now have in their hot little hands this magazine and have seen this story. And it was also mentioned on the cover. It says only in Women's Day there. Now, I just want to point out here as well the importance of good photos. The photos that their photographer took, the 2 largest ones here, they're good quality photos, they get a good run. Crappy little photos get a crappy little run, right? So her photos from the past, which probably film photography back then, they're shocking quality photos, and so they get a little run. But the beauty of this too is that in the second paragraph, on the second column, at the end of the second paragraph is Michelle's business website. Okay, so while it's talking about her personal story, she's also promoting her women's empowerment series. See, it's the story behind what you're doing. So this was incredibly powerful for her, and now forever, of course, as seen in Women's Day magazine. And for the men here, of course, there's lots of men's magazines and men's media too that are looking for the guys' stories. And here's Keurig Ashley. He worked with Anthony Robbins for a long time as a success coach. So here's an example of a 0 to hero story. This is actually part of a 4-page spread that went in Excel magazine, went out to 25 countries based in Singapore. And this is a photo that I took of Keurig at his property on the Sunshine Coast. And here we are saying that Keurig was once $20 away from being homeless in 2 countries, and now he's a multimillionaire. So how did he do that? Now, interestingly, before this story came out, it was actually due to go in one month's magazine, and it got held over for the other month. And, you know, Keurig always wanted to be on Oprah. It was one of his dreams. And would you believe that the magazine that it ended up in had Oprah on the cover of the magazine? Isn't that amazing? So he's got that now, he's got that celebrity status. He's got a 4-page spread in a magazine that Oprah is on the cover of. If he paid for advertising, it would have been $16,000. He would have paid for ad space, the PR value, $80,000. But really, what kind of value can you put on being in a magazine where Oprah's got the magazine and is reading your 4-page story? Sunshine Coast Success Coach, amazing. Again, here I want to point out the power of good photos and good visuals. So that photo on the left I took of Keurig. These 2 photos in the middle. Now, Keurig was also once a stuntman he was doing extras and acting work in Hollywood. And these 2 photos, the one in the middle here is with Chuck Norris on Delta Force 2. And the one on the right here is actually John Travolta. Now, even though they're celebrities, they're famous people because they're crappy little photos. They get a crappy little run, right? So importance again of having good visuals. Now, the world really is your oyster when it comes to publicity, and there's so much more I can talk about on this topic. There's only so much I can cover today. I do have a great opportunity for you that I'd love to share with you if you'd like to work closer together. Is it okay if I share that with you today? Yes, thank you very much. Excellent. All right, well, what I have is I've put together a special program for COVID because I know that a lot of people have been challenged through this time. They've been feeling alone. They've been feeling, you know, destitute. What can they do? Stuck, you know, they might be doing lots of different things and not knowing which way to move forward. And sometimes you are just too close to your own story to see what the gems of your story are. And we do some magic with this, where we've got some phenomenal people since I've launched this program just in the last few months, where we've been working one-on-one with a thorough in-depth media consultation. Now, this goes for at least 3 hours, this consultation. It's a very in-depth consultation. We look at your whole story, your business, what you do, what your goals are, all that sort of thing. And by the end of it, often we're coming up with brands for people as well. We're looking at your branding. We're looking at some key angles. And it's a very, very valuable session, this media consultation. So we've got that included here, one-on-one with me. Now, this is the last time, by the way, I'm going to be offering this program because my time is getting quite booked up at the moment. I'm actually finding myself booked up several weeks in advance now. So this is the very last time I'm going to be offering all this one-on-one work. And in this particular program, there's a lot of time with me. We've also got a media marketing strategy. So we'll look at your marketing goals for the year. We'll put a strategy together for that. And then social media profile audit. I'll look at all of your social media across the board, look at your Facebook if you've got it, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And we'll look at all of that. We'll redo your info on there. We'll look at your visuals. It'll be a whole makeover on your social media as well. So we'll do a whole audit of that. Then also your speaker bio or about profile in LinkedIn. So if you want to get speaking gigs, your bio or your LinkedIn profile, that will also be professionally edited and written as well. So you get really clear on your languaging. You've got a really clear pitch as well. And you can use some of this in your press release as well. And then media training one-on-one. We're doing one-on-one work here, so you're confident on camera. And that's really crucial whether you're doing videos online nowadays. You know, you need to be able to present to camera and present in a succinct way so you can get your message out. So the value there is 1,000 for that one. And then also I'm going to be doing here with this program a 1-hour live interview with you one-on-one, a live interview that's going on Media Queen TV, and that's also going out to my 60,000 social media followers so that we can capture a legacy for you with that and also reach more people with what you do. That'll be promoted out on all my social media. I've got 60,000 contacts, as I mentioned. LinkedIn alone, I have 30,000 contacts just on LinkedIn. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. So we'll be promoting that out everywhere. Now, also part of this program is there's live weekly recordings of the awesome mass media mastery training modules. I've actually got a 7-step system to getting publicity. I'll go into a lot more detail. And we've actually been recording modules since May 19. We've got 6 recorded modules now that you can see the replays for. And there's 6 more live sessions that are going to be run. We just did one yesterday. So in another 2 weeks on the Tuesday, 11 a.m. We've got the next one, you can hop on live, and then all of these are going into the Mass Media Mastery membership site as well. So we're going right up to October 20. Every 2 weeks, we're covering the 7 awesome steps of publicity, everything from articulating a story right up to exploding your impact. And then also as part of that, we're actually going to be doing 5 sessions of social media training as well. So we're going to be going into Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And you don't have to necessarily be on all social media. You want to be ideally where your clients are. The very least, I recommend you be on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at the very least. Okay, because Twitter, there's a lot of journalists on Twitter. You definitely want to start looking at that if you're not on there. And Facebook is where most people are, so you want to be where the people are. And LinkedIn, if you're in business, it's crucial to be on LinkedIn. So at the very least, you want to be on those. Then also a ticket to any of my upcoming half-day How to Gain $1 Million worth of free publicity workshops. These are 4-hour workshops that I run. The next one is on Zoom on August 27. And you can hop along there 9:30 to 1:30. So as a member of the Mass Media Mastery Program, you get access to any of those events. And that's the next one here on Zoom, 27th of August, 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Okay, then also as part of this, you get lifetime access to the Mass Media Mastery membership site. So here I'm actually developing the system now and adding to it. I launched a version of this program 5 years ago, and I'm now reinventing the whole thing. So really coming in on this special program, you're coming in at the ground level and you're getting lifetime access to this, which is press release templates, checklists. I do a Mass Media Tribe meetup every 2 weeks as well. We have different guest speakers. All those recordings will be in there, and exclusive interviews with media experts. So you get lifetime access to that. That's worth $997. And then also lifetime access to the closed Facebook group as well. We've got some phenomenal people in this program from all over the world that are doing some amazing collaborations. We've got 2 people who are now going out and doing a retreat together. We've got another 2 people doing a program together. It's just phenomenal, the kinds of people that we've been attracting to this program and the collaborations that are happening in this group. So lifetime access also to the Facebook group. And this is my special offer today. The value is over 12,000 here, and not today. Today it's $897 today, and then 5 payments of $897. So 6-month program starting from where you're at now. And there's a lot of my time in this program. It's the last time I'm going to be offering this as a one-on-one. And what I'd like to offer here too for the first 2 people that join me today is I will also offer a copy of one of my books. I'm in 3 different compilation books here. Elevate Your Mindset, Think Big with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Visions of Success. That's one with Pat Mesiti that I did. This one's got Dr. Demartini from The Secret, who is has done a forward in that. So an autographed copy of one of those sent to you, or if we do a face-to-face, then I can give it to you personally. So for the first 2 people that join today, I will give you also a free copy of one of those books. And in there, I have a whole chapter on getting free publicity as well. So you can go back over some of the things you've learned today. And that is the link for that there. So, yeah, so that's the link. So aaexpos.com/mass-media-mastery. Now, I also have this insane guarantee that some people said I'm crazy to offer. However, this guarantee is if you show me you've followed my mass media mastery system and have not gained free publicity, I will give you a full refund. Now that's an insane offer, but that's how confident I am with what I do, that you will get publicity if you follow the system. And I will be there to guide you. I will have your back. I love seeing my clients in the media. I get very excited about it, and we celebrate it everywhere. So we'll have your back with this whole program. We have an amazing community there. So that's it again there. So I'll pop the link into the chat in just a minute. We'll come to your questions if you have any. So it's $897 today, and then 5 monthly payments of $897 over the next 6 months. And the first 2 people will get a copy of one of my books, which you can choose. And this is my last slide here. It's about shining bright. And I really do believe the amazing ripple effect that we have on the world around us, and we can have if we choose to. And I'd like you to know today, I believe in the power of one, and I believe in you. May your flame burn bright and light up all those around you. Here's to you stepping up with your message and making the difference that you are here to make in the world. And, you know, whether you work with me or don't work with me, you know, I would love to see you in the media, and I am here to support you if you want that extra support as well. All right, I'll stop the share now, and we'll come to any questions you might have. Thank you so much for joining me today and for staying till the end. I really appreciate it. Let's have a look at the chat here. Any questions you have, feel free to, oh, it's Australian dollars, by the way. That is Australian, Kim. Yeah, Australian dollars. Yeah, you need to check that now. A lot of people are doing US dollars. No, that's Australian dollars. So for US people, it's really even less than that. And any other questions here? I'll pop the link for that into the chat there. That's the link to have a look at the program. Now, if you don't want all the one-on-one work, there is another option for just $197 a month for 6 months, but that doesn't have any of the one-on-one time. Okay, that's just some of the group work there. So if you want to have a look at that option, if money is an issue at the moment, you can have a look at that one. But generally speaking, I would not, if I were you, you know, if you really want help with this, then I wouldn't pass on this offer of the one-on-one work, because it's very, very valuable. We've branded people nearly every time we've come up with brands for people. So I've got the Media Queen brand. We've got Life Mastery Wizard now, a guy called Adrian Hanks in the program. We've got the Empowered Survivor for Michelle Slight. She survived 7 rapes. We've got Quantum Queen. We've got all these great brands and people just stepping into it and doing some amazing stuff with the program. So we'll look at all of that, look at your messaging and, you know, what are your gems of your story that we can share. All right, any questions? Just feel free to unmute yourself. If you have any questions, comments. Yes, Kim?
You saw that. How long are you keeping this offer open for?
Good question. Well, I'd say probably the next 24 hours. I'll be looking at changing it after that. Yeah, it's what I'm going to be doing moving forward. It'll be group work. It's not going to be this one-on-one work, which is, it's taken a lot of time, and I don't cap it at 1 hour. Like if we need to go longer, we go longer. You know, if we need to do it over a few sessions, we go over, like whatever it takes to get you publicity as part of this 6-month program. I'll be there and I'll be showing you, guiding you the whole way what to do. So
how soon before we can get started?
You can start. Well, basically what will happen is we'll have an orientation call. I'll explain everything to you. You'll get a welcome email. We'll put you straight into the Facebook group, so you can start watching the modules of recording straight away. We've already got those modules all in the Facebook group, so you can actually go back over and start watching those, and we'll book a session to do our one-on-one. So we can start in the next few weeks. We can do our one-on-one, and you can start on the recording straight away and introduce yourself to the group. And then also, I suggest also hop along when you can to the Mass Media Tribe meetups as well that we do. They're free events every 2 weeks. So hop along to those too. We've got one on the top 21 apps of marketing coming up. Then we've got one on podcasting with Tony Lontis. We've got Nick Cree. So that's all in the Mass Media Tribe Facebook group. You'll be able to see those events as well. So there's lots of ways that we'll be connecting. And then we've got the module training every 2 weeks. So we've just had one. So in another 2 weeks, there'll be that session that we'll have another group session. So the next session we're up to is Explode Impact. We just covered yesterday Mastering Interviews, which is the M of the awesome steps. Mastering interviews. So we looked at what to do before interviews, during interviews, and after interviews. And we went and did a whole hour session on that. So next one is Exploding Impact. We'll go into a lot more detail.
And are those sessions live group sessions, or are they online sessions?
There's Zoom sessions at the moment. They're all Zoom. Yeah, there's Zoom sessions. But with the one-on-one, we can do that face-to-face if you're in the area, or we can do it through Zoom. Yeah. So I'm in Southport, so it is good to at least do one session face-to-face. I think, you know, the first session's always good to do because we dig quite deep, but we don't have to, you know, we don't have to if you're, you know, if you're out of town. We've got clients in Perth and in America, you know, they're all over the place. So we've done it successfully on Zoom. And it hasn't been an issue, but you know, moving forward, I'll do some events back to physical events again. I did about 30 events last year, physical events with Melbourne, Sydney, Gold Coast, Brisbane last year, and now since COVID, everything has been online, obviously, and now I'm more inspired than ever before to help people get their message out now since COVID, and I'm feeling guided, and I'm feeling, you know, there's amazing opportunities and people being attracted now to the program that I'm very grateful for. And, you know, it's just going to get bigger and bigger from here because, you know, this is needed. This is really needed. There's not many media trainers out there. I don't know anyone else who guarantees publicity. It's a very unique thing that we've got here. And also being a stand for more truth and more good news, I think, is also a really unique point of this as well. And, you know, the clients that are getting publicity now, the members, it's all positive news. They're getting all this great news out there. So it's really wonderful to see and how they're impacting people. So yeah, so that's it. I'm happy to, if you want to have a one-on-one chat after this, we can have a chat if you've got you know, more questions or specific questions for you that you want to talk about. We can do that after this Zoom if you like. And but yeah, the great questions, Kim. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, maybe some ahas, what you got out of today, what you're gonna do moving forward, what actions are you going to take now to get your message out there? Yes, Graham.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Aldwyn. I think I got my money's worth in the first 30 seconds when you said if you were rung up now by someone and said, come and show us your program, that question alone is like, no way, I'm not ready. So there's a lot more work to be done. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Graham. Thank you. You know, and a lot of people say that. They say, I'm not ready. And in fact, I just want to share a story with a guy called Peter McLaughlin who came to my seminar in Sydney. He was a business coach and he also had a honey business. He had a beekeeping honey business. And he came to 2 of my live events and he said, Aldwyn, I'm not ready for publicity. And he said, look, I love what you do. He gave me a great review on LinkedIn. He loved it, but he just said, I'm just not ready yet. Right. And then only about 6 months ago or so, I heard that Peter had died.
Oh.
He was in his 50s and he just died unexpectedly, suddenly, of cancer. And, you know, it was tragic because he was a phenomenal guy. And, you know, usually when people say they're not ready, it's just the sabotage, you know, the saboteur, the keeping you safe, you know, not wanting you to step up. So I get that a lot. A lot of people say to me, I'm not ready just yet, or, you know, and I just say, well, you know.
Okay. So that's great. Thank you for that. How can what I would like is because I'm not financial right now, but
yes,
could we access the 3-hour consulting? Would there be a price on that?
Yeah, look, there's the 197. There's a 197 option if you want the you know, the group option. If you just want a one-on-one session with me, I mean, normally I charge $2,000 just for that, just for the 1 hour session, the few hour session, because the media consultation goes for at least 3 hours. It's very in depth. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend doing it that way because you'll be paying more. that way. You're better off to just get the whole package, and then you've got all that extra support, and we're working with you the whole way rather than just one session. We can do one session, but that's what I charge, is $2,000. So it's, if you want to pay that, you can, but I don't recommend doing it because you're paying more. Okay. Up to you though. If you just want that, we can chat about that after this if you like. We can do that, but this is really the best way to work with me now, is with this program, is doing the one-on-one. You're getting a lot more value for your money doing it this way. Yeah, thank you, Graham. Thank you, that's great. Thank you so much, Leonie.
Hi, sweetie. I want to thank you so much for all your information and your time today. It was very valuable, and I really appreciate that. For me, it's been a huge reminder to, hey, get back on the horse, keep going. You're going in the right direction. I know we call it our main business. It's our main income. Yes. And my business is my passion business. And what I do is I do a business called Spiritual Whispers, and I do, I'm an oracle. I do card readings and intuitive stuff. I do alternate therapy healings of many different modalities. And my biggest passion is my meditation teacher. I've been running meditation since 2012 now, and I really have a huge passion for that, because meditation and my spirituality really pulled me up from the bottom of the barrel, where I don't ever want to see myself go back down to again. And our main business has just doubled in size in the last 4 months, quite gratefully for that.
Wow.
And that has unfortunately taken my focus away from my passion business. But now that I've had the opportunity to get a couple of staff on board here in the office for me, for administration purposes, now I'm just so excited about getting my passion back on track again. And for me, all your information was a huge reminder about things that I've stopped doing. And for everyone that's watching, the media, please tap into it. I've been interviewed in a few different formats over the years. I've been interviewed on radio. I've had a TV interview. I've had numerous magazine articles and that. And seriously, guys, that really is something that is gold. The feedback you get from that and the word of mouth from that is absolutely gold. It's just amazing. So I encourage everyone to listen to what our beautiful guide here today is teaching us and saying. Thank you so much for your reminder of getting myself back on track.
Oh, thank you, Leonie. That's really sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I actually do feel guided. I really do feel guided right now. I don't like to preach religion or anything like that, but, I've had some really, really low moments in my life. In fact, I was in depression in February, just this year, just before COVID. I got back from pneumonia. I ended up with tonsillitis. I ended up in hospital on the antibiotic drip. And what happened is my lips swelled up, and I ended up with three cold sores around my lips, and I did not want to go anywhere. I was in bed for a few weeks. I just wanted to curl up and disappear. This happened in February. And then COVID hit in March. And I thought, right, I actually felt guided. And sometimes I think we need to go through these dark spots so that we can come out the other side and slow down to speed up, as they say. COVID hit in my gut. I thought something's not right. I thought, right, I'm going to get these webinars. So I hadn't done a webinar for 5 years. I started doing how to gain free publicity during COVID-19 webinars, launched this program, had some phenomenal people join. And that's what we've been doing now the last few months. And it's just been amazing. And I feel guided. I've been working crazy hours and loving every minute of it. And that's why now my coach has said to me, you've got to stop these one-on-ones, right? He says, you've got to scale, right? You've got to, it's not scalable to keep doing these one-on-ones. I love doing one-on-ones. I love it. But there's only so much of you to go around, right? So thank you for saying that, Leonie. That's really beautiful. And I do feel guided. I feel that there's an urge and a prompting to actually make a bigger difference, because for many years I was in cruise mode. with my business and with my life. I've been traveling the world 3-4 months of the year, having a great time, going from seminar to seminar. You know, that's kind of how I've lived life. I've started my business in 2002, and I've just been in cruise mode with it, right? And now, okay, let's take it to a bigger level. Let's impact more people. Let's really shift the way that we're doing communication around the world, right? Let's shift the thinking out there, because, you know, people will keep being depressed and keep living, you know, lives that they're not happy with if they believe that that's all that's possible for them. And so part of my mission is to help people step up and step out with their message and make a bigger difference. So yeah, it's been quite a journey the last few months, I can tell you. So thank you for saying that. And I do believe we can all tap into that intuition, our inner guide, our God, whatever you want to call it. You know, I think it's there always. And I think as human beings, we can be very hard on ourselves, you know, and our natural way is to be lazy and to not step up. It's natural. It takes something to step up. It really takes something. It takes a lot of courage, right? But you know, there's nothing quite like it when you do step up and when you impact someone, and when someone says, I really needed to hear that today, you know, that's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. And I think, you know, whatever your truth is, whatever you're guided to do, I suggest tap into that, listen to that. And the fact you're here today, you know, says to me that you're obviously willing to want to step up, or you want to shift things in some way, which is perfect. And, you know, when you're ready, you know about me and what I do now. And when you're ready, I'd love to help you. Or if you're ready now, if you want to have a conversation, happy to chat with you. You know, main thing is that hopefully you've had some inspiration today, and hopefully you're going to take some action, because all this knowledge is useless without action, right? So hopefully you'll go out and you'll actually do something about it. Whether you work with me or not, I would love to hear about your successes and what you're up to. So that was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? But yeah. Graham, yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you so much.
I sound like Elvis now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do believe now the world needs more than ever. We need more love. We need more hope, kindness, compassion. That's what we need. No matter what your opinion is on what's going on out there, let's all be kind. Let's support each other. Let's come together and strengthen each other up at this time. I think we need that more than ever now. And I'll just have a look at the chat and see if there's any other questions here. If you have any other comments, please feel free to unmute yourself. And thank you for letting me know I was muted there, Leonie. That must have been quite funny to watch for a while there. That's so we've got some lovely comments. Great initiative, fabulous info from Carol. Graham says, would you suggest putting your press release into a video? No, not with media, not directly targeting media. No, not into a video, because with media, they just want to see the words straight away in front of them. And the other thing is, when you're pitching, don't put it in an attachment either, because that's just another step the journalist has to go to. Bearing in mind, they're very busy people. So when you're emailing the media, you need to put, hi, below is a press release, and you just copy and paste the info below. Don't put it in a video. But what you could do is you could do video marketing about whatever it is that you're promoting. So you could do Facebook Lives, things like that. So video marketing is very powerful, but not the press release in a video for the journalist. No. That's not a good way to pitch it. No, the words is what they want to see. They just want to be quickly. And in that press release, you need to have your main points of the story early on in the press release. So you need a snappy headline, and you need the who, what, where, when, why at the beginning of the press release, so they can get straight to the point and see what's going on. With a video, they've got to play it. It's going to take time. It might not show up properly, and it's just another step for them. You just want to make it very, very simple for them. And just put it straight there in front of them. You could put photos in a Google Drive folder and share a link with them for photos. I don't suggest attachments in the first email, because it can bounce. Okay, attachments can bounce. They can go to spam folders, whatever. They can, right? So don't put attachments. Just keep it very simple in the first email. And then if they want more photos or they want video later, you could send them that later. But in the first instance, just the press release is the main thing you need.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, good question. Thank you. Now, other questions here. Leonie, you never know who can learn something from you, what you can learn from them. That's so true. Absolutely. And Kat, thank you very much for putting that August 27 workshop is there as well. I've had people attend the 4-hour workshop and just go out and get publicity, by the way. There's a lot more content in that workshop than I've given you here today, and I've given you a lot of content today, so hopefully I haven't overwhelmed you with all this. Okay, thank you for the presentation, Dennis. Thank you. Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. Leonie says, time has been an issue at the moment due to our other business doubling its work. Well, that's awesome. You've doubled your work there. Still here. Joe has to eat lunch. Graham, done TV and radio. Yes, expensive with minimal return, right? That was the advertising. Yep. I can watch the news without shouting at it. Haha, Graham. That's funny. Leonie, I don't watch the news. I actually don't watch TV. Right. And that's a lot of people say they don't watch TV. Glenn, entertain, very underused term these days. Yes, entertain, that's true. Green and growing. Yes, absolutely. Beautiful. Look, you can save the chat too. If you'd like to save the chat, you just go to where you type your message there, and there's 3 dots at the right there. You just go save chat. Okay, press on the 3 dots and you can save the whole chat so you can connect with the others that were on this Zoom. Any other questions, comments before we wrap up? I could chat to you all day here, but I do have some other appointments to get to. Or if you want to have a one-on-one chat after this, then feel free to. You could private message me on Facebook if you like, and just we can have a one-on-one chat. Or you can just pop in the chat here that you'd like to have a chat, and we can talk one-on-one and just have a chat about where you're at. And Kim, no, I don't have a calendar link at this stage. It's a system I'm going to put into place. However, at the moment, I am just doing them manually at the moment. So we can, right after this, I can have a quick chat after this if you'd like to, Kim. Or if you just pop your phone number in there, I can call you straight after this if you like, Kim. If you just pop if you can chat after this, just pop your mobile number in.
I'm happy to just stay on just for a couple of minutes after this.
Oh, stay on at the end. Okay, well, we can do that too. Yeah, we can stay on. Yeah, sure, we can do that. We can do that. All right. Yep, we can do that at the end. All right. Thank you, beautiful Leonie. Have a wonderful day. Wonderful day, beautiful. Remember to smile. It's good for you. Yes, and it's a universal language. It makes you feel better automatically. And remember to do things to boost your immune system too. I would recommend getting out in the sunshine, making sure you're doing things you're passionate about that are giving you joy. Get massages, eat well. All these things can help us right now through this time. And, have quality time. Remember to let those around you know how much you love them, right? It's very precious family time. And, just being grateful all the time. And if you want to join in the Good News Challenge, by the way, we're starting another one next week. So if you look at the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, and Kat, while you're here, Kat's actually my assistant. Kat, if you could pop that link in there, Global Good News Challenge, the Facebook page, into the chat, that would be great. And if you want to join that, we've got one starting. So you just do a Facebook Live every day for the next one will be 8 days, 8-day challenge, starting next week, next Monday. And it's just, you do a Facebook Live, you say who you are, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news. And the good news can be something about yourself, something about someone else, something you've seen online. You could promote something you've got coming up. It's a really fantastic thing to do, is actually to share that gratitude as well on a Facebook Live. You're automatically lifting the energy, and then you're automatically attracting people to what you do as well afterwards, because you've lifted people's energy. It's very, very powerful. And people have been missing not doing the Good News Challenges lately, because it just puts you in a whole different state. It's a simple thing. That gratitude is such a simple thing, but how often do we do it, right? So it's important to build a practice around that. Fantastic. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Kat. She's just popped the Good News Challenge page there. Remember, you can save the chat too with the 3 dots on the right there. Any other questions, comments about anything whatsoever? And if you want to chat later, just private message me, or you can pop your number pop your mobile number in the chat there, and I can give you a call by phone. We can do it the old-fashioned way. Do it that way. And other than that, Kim and I will chat at the end. So, any other comments, questions? Comments, questions? Come and join our Mass Media Tribe group as well. I highly recommend you join that group. And we've got all our events listed in the events section. You'll see all our upcoming Mass Media Tribe events. And at each of those events, you can share who you are, what you do as well. So that's a great way to market yourself. And we have great prizes at the end of each of those events as well. So thank you, Leonie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Kat. We'll pause the recording now. Thank you for everyone watching this. Blessings, and here's to you shining bright and lighting up all those around you.